That's able to do it. His first interview with Kentucky Sports Radio, Coach Mark Stoops. Coach, thank you very much.
Hey, it's great to be here, Matt.
You know, it's been a whirlwind for you. I mean, you've been all over the place in the last month and a half. How would you characterize your first, 45 days in office here at UK?
It's been wild, but it's been a lot of fun. I tell you, it's been an incredible journey so far, and look forward to the rest of it. But just starting with the press conference in the first couple of days, it was overwhelming reception here by the Big Blue Nation. So that was a lot of fun, and just putting the staff together and on the recruiting. So it's been a little bit crazy.
Let me ask you about that press conference, because you're getting off the plane, and you can't really know what you're about to walk into. But even for me, who's been here doing this, that press conference was like a wow moment for me. What was that like for you?
I agree. I walked up, I talked to Tony and all the the administration. I said, wow, that's how we do things here, huh? It was pretty wild. It was exciting. I said they must have had a lot of confidence in me. First time being a head coach, and they rolled me into a press conference with about 500 people. So so it was
and you got the Alan Cutler question of welcome, coach, to this day. He welcomed you to the city.
Yeah. So it was overwhelming. So it was a lot of fun and good to go through that, and so it's exciting.
Now, you've talked a lot about when you got hired, but I just want to ask a couple more things about that. When you decided to take the job, you mentioned at the press conference, you kind of thought this might be the year that you would end up doing a head coaching job. You were getting prepared for it. Kentucky job comes open, maybe the first one of the jobs. What made you say, okay, that's one I really like?
Well, I don't know if you ever go into it saying that this particular job or eyeing a job or anything like that. I think in our business, I think it's pretty much common knowledge who's maybe on the hot seat or what's going on in the coaching profession and all that. So when the job came open, sure, you look at it and say, wow, that's a good one. It's in the SEC. It's a heck of a school, a heck of a program that you feel like maybe has been underachieving a little bit. You feel like you can go there and improve them and coach them and recruit and all those good things. So at first glance, I'm busy. I'm in the season. I'm in the preparations and all that stuff. But yeah, I think it's fair to say that you look at it and say, hey, that's a good job that came open right away. That came open early.
Is part of that the SEC part? I mean, as for a coach, is there something about coaching in this conference that makes?
Yeah, I definitely think there is. I had never coached in this conference, but as you know, I've coached at the top level of a lot of places and won a national championship and been through all the ups and downs through the coaching profession. But I do feel like there's that challenge. There's that competitive nature in coaches that say this is the SEC. I think it's hard to argue right now with what the SEC is doing as a conference and the structure of this league and the leaders of this conference. So it definitely was intriguing for me.
Now that you've been here and you see where Kentucky is, talk to me about sort of a vision of how does Kentucky fans would want to be this football program. They want to be successful. These fans yearn for it. What is the vision of how does Kentucky get from where they are now to a team that could contend to go to the SEC title game, et cetera? How does that happen?
Well, the first thing you just touched on, it's very hard to build a program if there is no support. So the first, thing you need is what you just touched on is the support and the people that are starving for success in football in Kentucky. And, that's a big part of it for me, because if you go to a program that you're constantly trying to promote just to get a few seats in the stand, or a few people in the stands, then things aren't going to go well, So I think the support and again, going back to the Big Blue Nation and the people that are excited about football. And, I think that's a big start, to have that commitment because players want to play in front of people. So if we get this thing going, do a great job, win games like we plan on doing, and keep on building that fan base and having a great atmosphere in Commonwealth, then more players are going to want to play here. And then, of course, you're going to go around the league and play in all the great venues. So you have a lot to recruit to. So I think the first part of it for me was going to a program that you felt like there was some support from the administration, that you felt like there was some support from the fans, and with that and with a great city, you could get started in recruiting. And I think you could tell that we're going to recruit at a higher level and, build it that way because, the basis of our program is going to be recruit. develop the players that are here, develop them, and we're going to do that, and we're going to have a great structure around them to develop the players that were here, and we're going to develop the players as a whole person, and help them in every way of their life. So, that's the basis of the program, and we felt like we could get that done here at Kentucky.
You say recruit. You can't talk about specific recruits you're going after now, but you have a couple signees, and immediately people look and say, guys who are already coming, Zadarius Smith and the Stings kid, Stephen Gordon, and I think Reese is coming as well.
Yeah. Right.
But what we've noticed across the board is a higher level of player being recruited, both being signed but also being recruited. Names, the level of which we haven't necessarily seen. I know that's important to you. How do you sell to them Kentucky? These are names. Used to be that Kentucky kids from Kentucky that were high ranked would consider Kentucky, but you didn't see 4-star players from out of state considering Kentucky. They are now. How are you selling that to them?
Well, I think you sell them with who you are, first and foremost. I mean, kids see right through you now, so you are what you are, and I think kids have seen that I've been successful everywhere I've been. The staff that we've hired has been successful everywhere we've been. The administration has been extremely supportive of allowing me to hire great coaches and people that know how to recruit at a high level. So I think, I don't know if there's any magic formula other than being who you are, working hard, having coaches and myself and all the coaches that have contacts and that have good reputation and go out there and build relationships with kids. And, that's what it's all about. I mean, all of us have big, fancy buildings. Some of us nicer than others, and we're going to improve on certain things, but we have adequate facilities to get started and to build a quality team. Do we want to improve them? Sure, and we will. But I think all places have big, fancy buildings and all that. It's about who's in the building, who's going to affect these players, who's going to affect them each and every day, and whether they believe you're going to get it done or not, and whether you believe that you care about them, that you're going to develop them and help them in every way. So these kids are smart. They with all the media that's out there now, they get hit 1,000 different directions each and every day. And, it still ultimately comes down to relationships.
You said that the first thing you had to do in recruiting, lock down the state of Kentucky or do as well as you can. And then it's become clear, both in who you've signed and who we're seeing that you're recruiting, that Ohio is crucial to you. Will you talk a little bit about that state? It's a state a lot of fans have said, why don't we go to Ohio way in the past? That's important to you, obviously.
Well, it is important to me. And as you know, I grew up in Ohio. Yes. And my father was a high school coach for many, many years in Ohio, and my oldest brother, Ron, was a high school coach for many years in Ohio, and so I know the quality of football player that's in Ohio, but it only makes sense, for Southern Ohio, it's right down the street. I mean, that's considered local for us.
Yes.
In how we view recruiting, so that's home base for us. So, of course, when you look at it, so Southern Ohio is home base for us, and then with my connections and with where I grew up and everything, it just makes sense to go into northern Ohio and northeastern Ohio. So, so really all of Ohio, we're going to hit hard.
They said, I saw a stat last year, 19 Division I players from Kentucky, 144 from Ohio. Be silly not to, right?
Be silly not to.
Since you've been here, in terms of the fan base, have I knew, and the fans here know, how important football is to these folks. Have you been surprised about that at all in terms of the perception is it's a basketball place, and to some extent it is, but they care here.
They care. And yeah, I've been pleasantly surprised. I believed in them before I got here. I knew they had good support. But it has been, it's been terrific. Cannot be, more excited, even about our students on campus and, walking through basketball games, and they may see me or see our recruits coming by and just, recruiting them, helping us, and just having it being a very unique atmosphere in the basketball games and throughout the state. The people have been terrific, and it's very exciting, and I appreciate all the support. And I said this in the interview earlier as well. We need everybody on board. We need everybody pulling in the same direction. And, it takes a great commitment by the state, by the administration, by the university, by the players and coaches to everybody get this thing done. It's not easy to win championships. It's not easy to win the SEC. And we need everybody on the same page. And we need everybody on board. So I appreciate it and look forward to getting many, many more people in the nation.
We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're we're going to talk a little bit about the team that he is going to be coaching next year and some more about what he plans to do at Kentucky. It's Mark Stoops. If you have a question, at KY Sports Radio on Twitter, send it to me, and we'll get it sent to him. We'll take a quick break and be right back. This is Kentucky Sports Radio.
To talk to Matt Jones, call the Fan Outfit.
Brant, take control today.
Now back to Kentucky Sports Radio on Talk Radio 1080.
Welcome back, Kentucky Sports Radio. JC on Twitter says, I'm so excited listening to Mark Stoops. I want to put on the pads and run out the tunnel. Stoops Troops. You like the phrase Stoops Troop?
Yeah.
People are using that one.
Yeah, why not?
There you go. All right, let's talk a little bit about the team that you have. You decided to hire Neil Brown as the offensive coordinator. That made a lot of people excited. Air raid, et cetera. Tell me the big... We're all familiar with the air raid here, but I understand that this is going to be slightly different. For people who know the air raid, what's any differences between what they will see and what they saw, say, 10 years ago here?
Well, anybody, certainly in my position, that's a defensive head coach, is going to, I think you're going to know, I'm going to say, you got to have some balance. But you also, I was looking for somebody, you have to be creative in how you move the ball. As a defensive coordinator for a long time and playing a lot of different offenses, the people that put you in a run-pass conflict are people that are successful, and to be balanced and be able to do both. Now, how you do that, that's up to Neil, and that's where, we look at it and say, and through the interview process and as we're talking about his offense and where he envisions this offense going. Because just like on defense, just like on offense, you're constantly growing. Just like you were talking about 10 years ago here with the air raid and the air raid now, it's different. There's different variations of the spread offense. So big thing for me is a person that's creative, but a person that uses all the space on the field. There's a lot of green grass out there, and people that spread it out and run it and throw it, can be very effective. And I felt like with the personnel that we have at Kentucky right now, the personnel that we're going to develop, where we're going, it was the best fit to be successful here. I also love the fact that Neil had a great desire to be back here and to be back in his home state. And so, it was a great fit, all the way around that way.
We've had at least 5 people write and say, so I got to ask you this, can we bring back the siren? People loved the siren back in the day. Can you get the siren back?
Hey, why not? We'll look into it. Yeah.
Let's talk about the quarterbacks. So, you actually inherit a team with 3 guys with quarterback experience. I'm not sure how many teams in the country have 3 guys that have played multiple games at quarterback. How do you sort of look at the quarterbacks now? I know you've said it's going to be an open competition, but what do you think about your quarterback situation?
Very encouraged. Feel very good about those guys. Had a chance to watch them, on film and be around them. And, obviously just getting to know these guys as we move forward here. We've been recruiting, more than you'd like. Actually, when you take over a program, you'd love to be with your guys and with your team right now. But as we know, it's recruiting season right now. But been very impressed with these guys off the field and the way they handle themselves. I was very impressed with them on the field, watching film. So I'm encouraged. I mean, it's great to have 3 guys. And, competition's your friend. And that's what we need at every position. We need competition at all the positions on our team. And that only makes a better environment.
I know you haven't had time necessarily. Not talking specific players. But in terms of looking at needs position-wise, in sort of following the recruiting, it seems to me, the layman, as the lines, the 2 offensive and defensive lines, as areas where you felt the need you need to shore up. Where do you like your strengths right now, or are there positions you say, okay, we really need some help here?
Well, I just think philosophically that you have to be good on the lines. I think, most people that are football people would, agree with that, but, we're addressing that. I feel like we need to be more physical. We need, bigger bodies. We need to be, just physical on both sides of the ball. So, we're trying to address that. And, it takes a little longer sometimes for those guys to develop, on the O-line and D-line. So you need to get those guys in here, get them lifting, get them in your program and developing those guys. So obviously we're trying to address that with both sides of the ball in the line of scrimmage. And then skill players. I mean, let's face it, you need to be more explosive. You need guys that can point points on the board. and guys that can handle guys outside, corners and that. So hey, we need a little bit of everything. I think we all know that, but the skill guys, we're trying to bring in some players that could come in and contribute.